Joe and Hero, so good to see your faces again, even though it's just via Zoom
Again.
here. I can't believe we're doing this virtually again a year later.
I think,
I
uh,
know.
Oh my,
Nice to
yeah.
see you again, regardless.
yeah, it's so great to see you guys look fantastic. Congratulations on this film. I've seen it twice now, and I honestly think your performances are just so beautiful and stunning. So honestly, congratulations. I can't wait for US fans to see it here. When I first heard that you guys were going to be filming films 3 and 4 in Bulgaria, I was completely shocked. And I just want you to take me back to getting that call about what it was like. Hey, we're going to film the next 2 films in Bulgaria. Joe, I want to begin with you. What was that like?
Um, I think I probably said sorry, what? But yeah, it's odd because definitely we shot the first two in Georgia, but it was kind of like, okay, let's do this. I mean, I feel very grateful that we were able to do it during a pandemic and not just work, but that we got to finish these movies and finish this story. And so I'm really glad that we got to do that. And Bulgaria is beautiful. It was very cold and we didn't really have a chance to explore because of COVID, but it's such a beautiful place. And Sofia's such a gorgeous city. And I'd really love to go back post COVID.
Yeah, it's so different than the Georgia climate. Hero, what was your experience filming in Bulgaria, and what was the news like for you that you are going to be filming the next 2 movies there?
Yeah, yeah, we heard a bit in advance that I think everything was so up in the air. It was kind of like we were like, right, COVID's here. We're going to work it out. We'll keep you posted. And yeah, it was obviously like a bit of a shock on the learning curve. But as Joe said, Bulgaria is beautiful and has lovely people, and it was just a shame that we didn't get more opportunities to explore it further. So as Joe said, I'd love an opportunity to go back and kind of explore more of it.
Yeah. Well, there's so many scenes I love in this film. I love what Castile did so much. And I particularly love the Hardin and Tessa ice cube scene. I'm wondering how many ice cubes you had to go through while you were filming that. Joe, I felt for you because I was like, she must be getting cold right now. So I want to start with you, Joe. How many ice cubes did you guys go through?
Well, I hate to spoil the movie magic, but I think just one because it was actually a glass or a plastic ice cube that we used for most of the scene. But for when we did one close up, I think we did one take of using the actual ice. It was very cold. It was very cold, and it's funny because you want to squeal and you can't. It's not the same. So yeah, I'm glad that we didn't use one ice cube, and I'm glad that we didn't use more than that.
Love it. Hero, what were your memories on filming that scene? Were you worried about Joe getting like uncomfortable or too cold?
Yeah, well, there's obviously the continuity error with having an ice cube that's going to melt, and suddenly the ice cubes change in sizes every time the shot changes. So yeah,
Exactly.
again, we hate to spoil the movie magic, but so you get the answer. But yeah, no, it's not for me. It's I didn't have to endure the pain of the cold. It was all Joe. So yeah, she was a trooper for the time we did use the real ice cube. But
Love it. Yeah,
what
no,
else?
I love the little behind the scenes movie magic. Well, I
I'm
love
going to mention something I just remembered. I think
what?
it was actually you who picked up the continuity issue before we did the scene. You said, "How are we going to do this because the ice cube's going to melt?" So he
You know
definitely
what?
gets the credit.
Oh, well, thank you. It's teamwork makes the dream work. But you know what? I've just realized this is another reason the intimacy coordinator helps because you actually sit down and even things that are so just practical like that. We've sat down when you have an intimacy coordinator, you do just put a bit more attention to detail into those things. And yeah, we would have had troubles if we didn't have that one sorted.
Yeah, I did notice that you guys did have an intimacy coordinator this one. How was that different with those scenes? I mean, I feel like, your guys' chemistry has been so great throughout both of all 3 of the films now, but I'm curious, how was that different for you as a process as an actor here? I want to begin with you.
I think it's important when especially when you're doing films that have multiple intimate scenes. It's kind of it only makes sense to have an intimacy coordinator. It's kind of like having a stunt coordinator. If you have action scenes, it's the exact same thing. So I feel like looking back, we're just going to be like, why didn't we have one? It makes perfect sense. So yeah, we were happy to have them on board.
Yeah, well, I love how in this book and this movie, Hardin uses boxing and going to the gym in order to relieve stress and kind of get away from it all. I'm curious what's something that each of you has have done recently in order to relieve stress? Because the world has been so crazy nowadays. And, you know, for me, if it's not just like binging a Netflix show, it's probably just picking up a good book, hanging out with my dogs. Joe, what's something that you're doing recently to kind of like relieve stress and just take some time for yourself?
I really like driving. I think driving is great because it's something where you have to be a little focused, but you can also you can be by yourself and you can listen to music, and it's not something, and it's enjoyable, but it's an activity that you still have to focus on. So I just really like driving places.
I like zoning out and just listening to an audiobook or like of my favorite album or something, because you're right, you're just like kind of in the zone. I love that answer. Hero, what about for you?
I think a lot of people won't be shocked to say it's football for me. I feel like I kind of just, when I'm back home, I'm working, I feel like I'm doing, you know, a few auditions and bits of work here and there, and just, playing as much football as I can. I feel like if I ever don't, I start to get a bit grumpy and I realize, oh, it's because I haven't done that. So
I feel like, yeah, I thought you were going to say that. I was like, I feel like I always see the fans talking about him playing football. Here, I also want to talk about your producing credit on this film. I was so excited when I saw that in the teaser originally. How did that come about?
Do you know what? It happened kind of during the process of filming, actually. Just kind of, I had talks beforehand and realized that far down the line, the involvement is something that I'd love to do more of in the future. And I deliberately didn't even exercise any kind of like creative control that I wouldn't have had in previous films or just as an actor. So I didn't actually, you know, have anything to say or add that I wouldn't have just as Hero playing Hardin. But moving forward, I'm super excited to kind of have that under my belt, and I'd love to do more of that behind the camera stuff in the future too. So
yeah, and Joe said it was your idea with the ice cube, so there you are, producing right there. Yes. Joe, you are incredible at accents. I think you do the best American accent ever. And I love it when you play Tessa impersonating Hardin, when she's saying Elizabeth Bennet needs to chill, and here impersonating his name. I think you do such a fantastic job. So is it easier to kind of drop your Australian accent and pick up on an English accent now that you've been working with Hero for so long after these years?
No. I haven't done a British accent in so long. I think it's the first accent I ever did or tried to do. And I found it really easy because I think it's more similar coming from Australian to British. It's kind of just like a posh, you know. But now I've been doing a US accent for so long that I feel like I would struggle to get into one.
Yeah. I mean, Hero, you have done an American accent too in the silencing. What was that experience like? Because your American accent was so fantastic. What was it like doing? Wasn't that your first American accent?
It was. I do one in First Love as well, which is coming out soon.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I talked to Sydney for that movie. Yeah.
No, thank you. But to answer your question, nerve-wracking. Like, it's one of those things where like you can think you're doing it, but it's kind of like, so when you see yourself on camera, and it's kind of that thing of like you kind of need someone else to say whether it's good or not. So yeah, I'm definitely like nervous about it, but excited too, and like I'm always kind of questioning it. But it's something that I feel like you can never kind of do enough practice on. So yeah, one day I'll get to Joe's level, but be patient.
That's so sweet. Well, I will get killed by the fans if I don't ask this question, but everybody wants to know what your Halloween costumes were when you were filming in Bulgaria for that Halloween party. Can you actually confirm what they were and if they were related? And Joe, what did the Post-it note say? Hero, what was your costume?
I was going to say Joe can go first because hers might need a bit more explanation. Oh, I'll go first, but I won't use that too much time. I did a Peaky Blinders look. We were lucky to use the costume, huge costume wardrobe facilities in the studio in Bulgaria. So we had everything to pick from, and I chose like a simple Peaky Blinders look, but I loved it. Hers was a lot more interesting.
Joe?
I completely forgot about that Post-it note. I don't know. How did they know there was a Post-it note?
I think it was on, honestly, I saw the picture a while ago. I think that they just saw it and it was like blurry on the pig costume there.
Well, it was a pig costume and I loved it because it was very warm. But then when I wanted to take it off, I just unzipped the back and then I was in normal clothes. So I very, very my choice. And it only took me like I think we were having a competition of the shortest amount of time to pick the costume outfit in the costume house, and I think I got mine in like 2 minutes. Yeah. I walked in and I said, I just want the silliest thing. The Post-it note said capitalism, or I think it had the name of a former leader of the country. And it was kind of, yeah, I got rid of the Post-it note after a little bit, but it was just trying to make it more clever.
You guys are so...
Don't want to say anything political.
Well, no, you answered the question for the fans. Hero and Joy, I appreciate it so much. I can't wait for fans to see it after we fell. I know so many international fans have seen it already. Thank you both so much for your time today. It's always so much fun to talk with you both.
Lovely talking to you again, Lauren. Take care.
You too, Hero. Bye. We'll pass